So we are here for episode 6 of Sunday Sessions with our friend, the wonderful Harriet Parry. I knew you were going to laugh as soon as I said your name. But I think that's very typical of Harriet. She's on that front.
I
am. So I think, first of all, thank you for being with us.
My pleasure, Trev.
A little furry boy, Miro, might pop into shot as well. So
he's being good at the moment.
If you know Harriet, you'll definitely know Miro. He kind of comes as part of the package.
Well, recently. Oh, here he is. I try and get away. Miro, get down. Come on, go back to the mat.
So, if you had the chance to come and visit us here at 157 Regent's Park Road last year, you will have seen an amazing floral installation that was the creative work of Harriet. So Harriet is a florographer, floral artist.
Yeah.
You tell me what you call yourself, because it's difficult to kind of put that label on someone.
Yeah, I sometimes think, what on earth do I actually do in my life? Who am I?
I often think that about you as well. Like, what did she? What did she do?
Yeah, where'd she come from? No, I think I would say I'm a floral artist.
Okay.
I think that's where I've sort of got to and where I feel sort of really comfortable sort of describing myself. Because I have a background in fine art, so I studied fine art.
Where did you study?
So I studied at Leeds Met, so up in Leeds. So that, I left in like 2007, so it's a while ago now. But yeah, so I studied fine art, but then I was always interested in nature because I grew up on a farm in the Midlands. And so
we all did, didn't we? Anyone that grew up in the Midlands grew up on a farm. That's all that's there.
I love the Midlands. Just fields. But yeah, so then basically my granny, my main inspiration was my granny, and she actually passed away last year when I was had an installation at Chelsea Flower Show. But yeah, she had an amazing garden, and she always encouraged me to be creative, but sort of, she had a lovely garden, be interested in flowers. We used to do flower arranging for the local fete, the miniature gardens. I know, you like flowers too.
And what was it for you about that? Is it the colour, texture, the smell, the kind of infinite possibilities of combinations of flowers?
Colour for me is the main thing, but also I think working with something so wonderful. Miro, down. On your mat. So we knew it'd be a pain. But working with nature and sort of, I don't know, you feel really honoured with working with nature. And I think it's sort of, just being so in touch with that and sort of using flowers and natural materials as my medium now. And it's great to combine art and flowers together, and that's what I sort of do. That's my main focus.
Which is what you do very well. Which you know, if you are familiar with Harriet's work, some of her clients are Hermes, Penhaligons and Lacoste, and you have not only created installations within their stores, but you created these amazing creations as part of their campaigns that are kind of emulations of figurative photographs or paintings, maybe.
I think it just has to come here.
But using kind of flora and fauna as the medium.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, like a painter would use paint, or a sculptor would use clay, for example. I think that's sort of. I think with my work it's quite interesting because quite often, because I also do my own photography. I have sort of. I'll talk about that in a bit, but the interesting thing is they're sort of ephemeral pieces of art. They're fleeting as well. So they just have a moment, which I think is really, really interesting. You almost make a piece of art, and I do actually suffer quite badly with getting too attached to stuff, like big objects, sort of, I don't know. And I think actually it's really strange that what I've gone into is a medium that's so fleeting that I can't get attached to.
It will inevitably.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, exactly. Unless we're doing a dry flower, which again, that's wonderful because you're getting to use everlasting flowers, and that feeling can be felt for much longer.
Okay. So do you have like little floral shrines in your house?
Yes.
Do you know what? Been there for years.
I actually can't chuck any flowers. Well, I can. Getting rid of any flowers, I keep the smallest bits. Oh, I'll never know when I need that. Well, going for a walk in the park now is actually a nightmare because I'm like, oh my god, that's an interesting stick. I might use that for something.
You're a compulsive forager.
No, I'm a compulsive forager. I can't relax when I'm taking home my mirror. That's a perfect stick. Come on, I'm gonna get that. And so honestly, sometimes I'm with him, such a small dog, and I've got branches that are literally so big, carrying them, and everyone makes the joke. I think they're a bit big for him, don't you? Yeah, but he loves the big
Not
stick.
too big for me,
So yeah, but yeah, it's and also because actually keeping all my miniature bits, because that's another thing that I do. I love doing miniature designs, so that's another thing that I sort of have a series on. So I have different series of bodies of work in my portfolio really, that are sort of personal to me, but have been picked up by brands or companies or fashion designs and things like that. So that's always interesting. I think one thing actually in my career so far is the beginning you sort of get stuck into sort of trying to find your feet, trying to find your place in the world that you've entered, that you're in. But then at the same time, once you actually relax and do a lot of your own work, personal projects, and you have no client to sort of, there's no boundaries, because it's completely you.
There's no brief to
There's
follow.
no brief, and it's just something that you put out completely yourself into the world. And then actually that's when, by doing that, you're making a body of work, you're expressing
creating
yourself.
your space.
Yeah, exactly. And then sort of the paid jobs follow. And I think and I could love nothing more than having somebody come to me and they want something that's inspired by the body of work, and they let me just do what I want to do. Like it's just, that's the dream really.
So obviously you create these amazing pieces of work, and if you want to find some of these pieces, you will find them at?
Yeah, well, on Instagram at Harriet Parry Flowers, and I've also got a sister account called at Flower Interpretations, where I take pieces of art, fashion, film, TV, and then reinvent them in, I think, playful and witty flower arrangements. I like to think.
I concur.
And then on my website, harrietparryflowers.com. So yeah, those are sort of the new things. But yeah, Instagram has my most up to date. So.
And 2003 was a very busy year for you.
Yeah.
You did Chelsea Flower Show.
I did Chelsea Flower Show, yeah.
You worked with some very high profile luxury brands.
Yeah.
You did Flora.
Yeah, in Spain. In Portugal, in Spain.
How long has it taken for you to kind of obviously realise what you were, realise that this was the career you wanted to fall into, and then be involved in all these amazing opportunities?
I think because I started in 2010 or 2011, and I worked at Flora Studio, and that was mainly like contracts, hotels and weddings. So I was sort of came up with some designs, managed the team, but it just wasn't as creative as what was sort of bubbling inside of me, ready to bloom, as they say. But yeah, so it was, and then I sort of went into, I've made so many friends in the flower market, and everyone was sort of saying, just do your own thing, so I became freelance. And meanwhile, I'd sort of do photo shoots with my friends, I had lots of friends who were photographers, and I sort of built up a body of work.
And when did you become freelance?
So then that was 2012.
Okay.
So, but then 2012 I sort of had set up my website, with my name and things like that. But you have to lay the foundations, like you have to sow the seed again. But like you have to do the work, and so it took a while. But I just sort of kept. It was word of mouth, and then Instagram. Instagram wasn't. When did that start? 2012.
Not as widely.
It wasn't as widely used, was it? So you sort of set that up, and then I think Instagram, to be honest, has done amazing things for me. Again, for word of mouth and contacts and publicity and being able to discover new artists in all genres, isn't it? You know, it's. But yeah, it was about sort of 2012. Then that sort of. I'd say, to be honest, 2018. Really, I remember doing a pop-up exhibition in Old Street Station.
And was this something that you were commissioned to do, or was this something
yeah,
that
somebody
you...
approached me, and they had spaces. It was during Chelsea Flower Show, and they found me, and I think they found me on Instagram. And they emailed saying, "Would you be up for doing like sort of filling a gallery space with whatever you wanted to do?" And I had been thinking for a while. Sort of, I'd actually been struggling perhaps 2017. You know, I was getting these jobs, but they weren't fully showing off who I was, and I really wanted to somehow kind of like find out how to like blend my fine art background with the flower world. And yeah, this thought just like came to me because I always used to buy postcards. I still do postcards from every exhibition that I went to, and I've stuck them all over my fridge. My kitchen's a bit 70s, so I've just literally got all these postcards in all different sort of styles, art styles, all different sort of mediums. And then I remember just looking at one and I was like, what can I do in this space? And I just thought, oh my god, I'm always seeing flowers in the shapes, the textures and the colours within these artworks. And so then that was the subject that I did my pop-up exhibition on, and I just recreated these artworks into flowers on plinths, and then people would pop in and sort of like talk to me, and got me on some amazing conversations with people. And it was all about how to balance your creativity with a career, and how to keep that equilibrium and find yourself. So it was all very sort of, it was almost like a spiritual place, the Old Street Station.
And you love what you do. Like this is the career for you.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Like you are a very bright and fragrant and colourful, and you know you are. This is definitely what you should be doing.
Yeah, I think flowers suit me, and I think I've got a sort of my feet in both camps of the countryside where I grew up and the city that I now call home after sort of 16 years. And it's the moulding of those two, as well as art, the art world and nature.
So tell me how you manage to get the balance between being creative but also being freelance and managing a business and doing all the non-creative things, because that seems to be a kind of a common thing with creative people. They love the creativity. Once they create the thing, great, but it's quite often managing a business that can be
you have to be
jarring.
everything, don't you? You have to be an art director, you have to be an accountant, you have to be a manager, you have to be a PR person, you know, you have to do it all. And I think I sometimes struggle because those things do exhaust me because they don't necessarily they're not my first sort of, they're not the heart of who I am.
They don't give you the dope.
Yeah, they don't. But I don't know, it is difficult because I do know that they take away sometimes from my energy for creating. But I just sort of, I don't really have an answer. Like, I don't really know. I think I am just me, and I have a team of people that sort of assist me and help me when I've got big jobs. But also, I think I'm a bit of a control freak. I don't know whether I could actually have somebody sort of updating my website, doing. Maybe they could do all the emails and like chase down invoices. Someone else could do that. They probably have a more authoritative tone than me. I'm a little bit too hello. Never getting paid. but yeah. But I think like I still want to be hands-on in it. It's finding that balance, isn't it? Because people have said, oh, why don't you get somebody in full time to kind of like manage things? But I think the dream probably would be for managing logistics, hiring a van, or you know, sort of organising or chasing and all of those things. But I think still Instagram, I'd love to still be me posting. Sort of me updating my website, me sort of doing all of those things. But yeah, it's the logistics. I can't stand the logistics. I get quite panicky. I'm like, and then I just can't think about the actual work. That's the thing. Some people just go, oh, I'll just ring this person, I'll do this, oh, it's done, so we've done this, this, and this. Maybe flower quantities as well. I would quite like perhaps somebody to help me on that. That's a little bit like, because I'm not a natural at maths. But then saying like algebra, solving things, I think it's attention to detail that I like.
It is, yes.
Which then spans into my work, because I
The
think that's
detail
one of my
does
key.
play
Yeah.
very heavily in what you do and the work
Yeah.
that you have created. Do you find it quite lonely when you do these
That's another
projects
thing.
as well? Because
Yeah.
yes, you have teams of
Yeah.
people, but when you don't have teams of people, like
It does depend. I think it can be a lonely life sometimes. Again, I've got my studio space, so I can pop up there, and there's all creative from loads of different mediums, musicians, sculptors. So there are people that I'm talking to. I'm not just sat in the corner swinging and writing. But yeah, I think sometimes having somebody else would be good for bouncing ideas. It's because it's the communication between artists, or creatives, because things just pop out of nowhere, don't they? It's that bouncing off, which do fine art, the critiques, it was amazing because you could bounce with people and get new ideas. But then saying that, I love working with people with the team on my bigger jobs. Then, like I said,
you need it.
I need it, and having somebody work out the order of the van was helping me on quantities. That's great. But then also, I'm quite a lone ranger at the same time. Even though I absolutely adore people, and I think people and flowers make the world go round, and I just love meeting people. When I've got a job, say I did a job for Hermes where I created these floral humans wearing their clothes in May for their Le Monde Hermes. I was just doing that on my own. Again, it was this very personal thing in my studio, setting up the backdrop, setting up these characters, actually creating these characters I didn't plan them necessarily, they just come to life. And that's just me creating this set, creating this character. And it's very personal, and time just goes by, and I love actually it's something that somebody couldn't really help me on, because it's on the smaller projects that I'm creating images with.
Yeah.
That's something so precious to me, and so connected to my own creativity that unless it's handing me a flower, but then I don't need to hand me a flower. I'm not that much of a drama queen.
Do you find that these kind of opportunities and these things are all very seasonal as well?
Yes.
Are there moments in the year where you think, okay, this is going to be very quiet for
So January is always quite quiet.
Right.
It sort of kicks off end of Feb, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. And then I'm normally busy till November. Strangely, in November I seem to get sort of a final sort of bigger job, and then it's Christmas. Oh yeah, exactly. There you go. You're in the space. And then I just shut down. I actually, unless something amazing came in December, I don't really do, because I don't necessarily do deliveries or bouquets.
Yeah.
It's not something that I've sort of gone into. But December I quite like just to be like, right, okay, can I actually chill out?
And with these downtimes, you do.
Well, then I
know when they're coming, and you're prepared to be quiet.
Well, I
do
try.
you like being by yourself?
I still panic. Where's the work coming in? Has anyone forgotten about me? But then I actually can't. I find it really difficult to sit still. So I will then be updating my website. So I'll be doing my website. Actually, it needs a good, thorough 2024 clean up. I haven't added anything for 2023.
Come on.
Oh, I know. I've got to get on it, haven't we? I'll be doing those kind of things.
And so I'm going to get a little kind of personal with you now.
I do love personal chat.
We met each other in 2003, clicked straight away. You just got one of those personalities that you warm to, and you're definitely a people person.
Trev.
But I know that there have been certain struggles that have come over the years that you have certainly gotten over. So people that know you.
It's one of those that you just keep going.
And that I find it very hard to believe that you have these moments because you're so bright and
so many people would never guess. And I think maybe it's something that a lot of creatives have. They have those moments where there's self-doubt or sort of self-worth issues, which actually have been something that in sort of March 2022, something sort of triggered, something just switched in my brain, and I've really struggled with even replying to emails, sending quotes. I was underquoting things, and it was sort of, I feel like it was a rebound. I was on my own through lockdown. Luckily work sort of changed to more online in lockdown, so I did have some interesting bits and bobs, and also I felt a slight a freedom that I think a lot of people did, because there was you weren't comparing yourself to anybody. Sort of people were slowing down, and as much as you try to not compare, there's always going to be that sort of sense of, oh, you're seeing your friend doing this, or you're seeing, and it's sort of, sometimes it does feel like, you know, it's the world that we live in, and sometimes you do just want to go and hide in the woods back in
the Midlands.
Back in the Midlands, and pretend you're a mint. That's not. Do you know what I mean? And just sort of sit there covered in moss and flowers, painting watercolours. Like that's that's what I used to do as a kid. You know, that was really special. But it's kind of, something just happened, and it was almost like my body. I had warning signs, and I sort of had brain fog, terrible headaches, and then it was sort of March. I remember sort of just. It was like I was just shutting down.
Was this through exhaustion, or was it just the kind of switch in the landscape?
I don't know where, but I'd been sort of, I don't know what had happened, because, you know, then I'd started working again after the pandemic, but it was a little bit slow, but I found it more difficult to get into the headspace of working so hard, I think. I think pushing myself, and I could slowly feel myself not having that sort of get up and go and sort of always sort of creating something, like spare flowers create something, you know, it was just thinking of new ideas. That sort of shut down, and I must admit, from 2022, let's say it's 2022, for a good 6 months really, I was still working, I was still sort of putting on a brave face, which sometimes I don't know how I could go into the work when I sort of could barely even like open the door to go to the shops. Like, it's crazy what you do, because it's I couldn't let anyone down, or I didn't want fight or flight. And it was so it was definitely a fight, but then inside like flight, as in, or freeze. They also say it's freeze, where it's just like I couldn't do anything. And actually, I must admit, my creativity. It's pretty hard, like getting yourself back in that stage when you've kind of come through something, or I'm still going through it, but I'm feeling so much more me. But it was sort of this time where all my creativity had gone. That's how I could sort of describe it. Or there was like creativity, like in my little toe or something. Like it was just, there was nothing there. But I felt this pressure to try and like create new things in my spare time.
So obviously there's been a big shift now, like you recognise the signs, you manage it better, like did you seek help, or have you been able to tackle it yourself?
Well, I decided to go, so Christmas, last Christmas, 2022, I suddenly had this thought that I need to get out of London, I need to go and do something, I just need to be on my own, I need to have something exciting. So I went to New York over Christmas on my own, which actually proved, in a way, probably could be one of the best things I've done, because it literally, I got to my lowest point ever.
At a moment of doubt,
before
you start.
I thought, right, that's what I normally do, but this time it wasn't. There's no more fight left. It was like, okay, so then I basically, I came home early from New York, and my sister, I didn't get up there for like 3 days. Like it was awful. My sister came back from Midlands, picked me up.
With no idea where this was coming from.
I just knew that like it was like my nervous system. It's like it was anxiety, but it just got so high that I became obsessive on things that I'd sort of got rid of from my childhood. It was almost like I'd lost my identity, and I was going back to the spaces, like clothes that I'd had when I was sort of, sort of 17. I was like, oh my God, why did I get rid of this? And it was just this, but I was like trying to kind of express myself and be who I was at a time when I was finding myself in a really positive way, I think, and didn't have the burdens of life. Yeah. You know, it was sort of, I was starting the beginning of where does this journey take me, you know, as a teenager. But so I went home for a month and a half, for maybe 2 months, but I was coming back to London on jobs, but it took all the power that I could. And I bet some people that I work with in those spaces wouldn't have, they wouldn't have a clue, because I was still Harriet.
Firing on
Like chatting,
beautiful cylinders.
Yeah, which is my true self, but also part of myself is this is anxiety that sometimes pushes me to make more, to move my life in a really positive way and to create more, and other times it actually sort of
When you find yourself in these spaces in your mind, does that influence the work you create personally as well?
Oh yeah, I literally look at it, I just dislike everything, because the creation, I was speaking to friends about it, the creation process is actually physically, almost you get pain in your body, because I couldn't feel it. It was like I was trying to feel that flow feeling that you get.
And does that kind of make it veer towards a more kind of dark and murky aesthetic, or is
No,
it
not
still
really.
very
It's
bright and colourful?
It's still bright and colourful.
But you just
But
don't
I just-
connect to it.
Yeah, that's the thing, I don't connect with it. And it's actually recently I've been looking back at some of I did a lot of flower interpretations in that time, because I love that series that I've done, and it's an ongoing one. But when I was doing them, I look back at them and actually, they still feel so me. And I think that's the power of creativity that comes through, because it's all the mind, isn't it? It's in here rather than, it's your mind is your mind, and we can learn to control it and understand the mind. It's not the essence of who you are, is it? It's something that gets in the way from the life, society, life, consumerism, everything else, and past traumas, past pains. That's the thing.
And how do you overcome that?
I don't think.
In a nutshell.
Do you know what?
How have you
I went home with my mum. She was really worried about me, but she's still. Well, there were times when mum said, "You can't go back to London to do this job." I just was like, I have to. Like, I'm stubborn, and I do have a strong will, and I do. Yeah, and I don't want to let people down, and I do want to create, because it does take my mind out of it a little bit, because we're surrounded by people, so that really does help. But yeah, then after that, then it all basically, it was really strange. It started lifting, and then it was wonderful, because in my inbox, all of these jobs and all of these inquiries and all of these people were messaging me with jobs and projects that so fitted me. I don't know whether it's a reminder from the university to do this, or to help me get out of that. And then literally I didn't stop from March till October, like through 23.
And do you
and
think
it was
that
just
helped then? Like just kind
because
of being
there was
kind of
purpose,
constantly creative and having a purpose really.
I think
helped you to
purpose
develop.
really does. That's exactly it. And there were wonderful things. So I'd been asked to Chelsea Flower Show. That was it in the November. No, in the I can't remember what it was, but in the November I was writing my proposal, like with my design. I don't know how I actually wrote that proposal, because that was at the height of how I was feeling with this anxiety or sort of whatever we want to call it, this just blockage, panic, I don't know, this sort of brain fog, lack of creativity. But I did it, but it was again really painful and took me ages, and so I sort of had sort of that to think that I was doing Chelsea Flower Show, and I did feel in myself, oh gosh, I can't believe I'm going through this when I'm doing such a big thing that I should be so proud of. But I did it. Chelsea Flower Show came around. And
I mean, that's
and it was
every
so
florist,
much
like
fun.
that's one of the cherries on the top,
and I
isn't
think
it?
actually my friend Charlie, who's a sound designer, soundscape artist, we've started with. I think there will be a long-term collaboration with him and me doing art installations with sound. But he was great, because when we were sort of getting towards Chelsea, he was this collaborator that we bounced ideas. I loved that sort of like the way that flowers and sound sort of connecting the two sort of mediums together is so special. And actually this last 2023 was also when I've done my biggest installations to date. as well as my, for January 2003, my miniatures for Penhaligons. I did these miniatures, so I've done the smallest job and the biggest.
Can we expect to see you at Chelsea this year or Flora this year?
No, not this year.
What do you see? What can you share with us?
This year,
what's going on?
Do you know what?
In 2004.
2024.
2024.
we're going
backwards.
time. 2024. So, do you know what? I really, there's a few things I want to do. I'm a continual buyer of art, which I could do for a long time, because my aim is to do an exhibition. I don't know whether it'll be this year, but it's an aim. I want to do an exhibition with my own personal art collection, with mainly female artists. I buy from all different decades, so I've got some lovely Edwardian stuff, I've got some sort of contemporary things and some mid-century and like lots of different stuff. So I'd like to do an exhibition with all sorts of female artists. Yeah, so again, contemporary female artists, get in touch. Step forward, because and then reinvent them and do flower interpretations as an exhibition, but with my art collection.
For one day.
For one day. It'll be a fleeting thing. Maybe I'll go back to 2018 when I do that and then have some that I'm making there, and then I also want to get Charlie involved as well. But I think I'd like to do. I really want to do a film. I've got some filmmaker friends, and we've been talking about this. And I'd love to do some sort of abstract flower film or something like that. Maybe a book. I just want to. I want to do some things that are sort of long-term projects as well. But again, with my work, you literally, I can have an email, and someone can email me literally 2 weeks before they want something. So it's so interesting because you never know when. I never know when my next job is coming in. But I'd love to work again with some more art galleries. I don't know what 2024 is actually going to hold, and I actually do feel excited because if I doubt it, I'm taking myself back. The other day I was thinking, crikey, 2024. It's slow. It's January, and then I think, right, put yourself into that space where you were getting so many beautiful projects to work on, and that's not a one-off of the year. Like this, I think this is something I've learned with my sort of anxiety. I think before I was like, I'm never going to get that job again, or there'll never be an opportunity to do this.
And they keep coming.
But I think that's the thing. Put myself in that headspace when I was doing that work and completing that work. It's going to happen again. You've just got to keep being creative, keep being positive, keep being yourself, staying true to yourself. Putting out beauty into the world, connecting with other creatives, other human beings, like you.
Well, I hope that we get a chance to work with you more on Adorn Common, ongoing, whether that's having you install more work,
we're saying we'll do a workshop maybe.
Do some workshops.
You might not be able to get rid of me, Trev.
I don't want to. But until all of these things happen, thank you.
Oh, no, my pleasure.
The best of luck for 2024.
24, yeah.
And I hope we get to see you and this little nugget
Walker
a lot more in 2024.
I won't always bring him though. He needs to have some time. We need to separate a little bit. Absence makes the heart go fonder.
Before we leave, I always play a little sing game at the end.
Okay.
So word association.
Okay. Yeah.
So we always play that at the end, just to kind of end on a silly note. So I'm going to start with a word, and obviously you're going to respond to me with something that's similar. This always can go, or has gone in very kind of strange directions. So let's see where this one goes. So I am going to start with Flora.
Flora. Okay.
Quick, come on, quick.
Woods, fairies.
Trees.
Life.
Give.
Oh, love.
Heart.
Warmth.
done. I'm done. Oh, thank you
Well,
so
we'll
much.
give each other a warm. Get the dog. Oh, love you,
Oh,
Trey.
darling.
Oh, no. You say bye, Hero. Say bye, Hero. Happy 2024.